With me, I have the inventor of Page Optimizer Pro, or POP, Mr. Kyle Roof. For those who don't know, POP is an SEO tool specifically built for on-page SEO. It's well known for being one of the innovators in SEO edge analysis. And POP have just released their new AI tool. It's a writing assistant, but first and foremost, it's something actually quite different. I'm going to be going through everything about the new POP AI tool with Kyle today. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Talk a little pop and a little AI.
Kyle, why don't we start by quickly going back to the fundamentals of edge analysis in SEO and POP? What actually is edge analysis? How did it start, and how did it actually change SEO?
There are a couple parts of it, but when we started testing Google's algorithm, we realized that while Google is looking at an entire page, there are places on the page that are more important than others. And identifying those pages was critical because they're the terms that are important to Google you need to put into those areas. It's the amount of times you put your target keyword, its variations, contextual terms into those areas. Now, the edge analysis part comes in because there are times when you want to do more than your competitors. There are times when you want to do the same amount as your competitors, and there are times when you want to do less than your competitors. And that's where the POP comes in with the edge analysis to find those areas where you can get an edge on your competitors using on-page SEO.
Okay, and so can you briefly explain how does POP actually do edge analysis, and how does that make it different to other similar tools?
The important thing, a big differentiating factor, is that POP doesn't do averages. A lot of tools are just going to give you averages, and that's going to get you to average SEO. POP looks for those areas to get an edge on your competitors. I've been testing Google for about 7 years, finding different ranking factors, and I actually have a U.S. patent on whether something is or is not a ranking factor. And that data that we've gotten from those tests, that is what we've used to train POP's algorithm with that data. And the recommendations are based off of that. In short, a POP user, basically, they're going to get the recommendations on the things that are going to have the most amount of impact, and they'll be able to leave everything else out.
Okay, that's cool. So they're not going to be given a long list of things to implement that won't actually make a difference. That's cool. So let's talk about the new POP AI. Tell us about the R&D process that went on in the background, and what was the original problem that you were trying to solve with the POP AI?
Well, it's not just an AI writing assistant. I mean, it does do that, but that's not what makes it special. There are a lot of AI writing assistants out there now. What makes it different is the recommendations from POP. We know that if you do score better in POP, you will do better in Google. Let's say you start off at a 30. If you were to increase that score in POP to an 80 or an 85, you will see a ranking impact. Initially, you're going to see an increase in impressions for your page. Then you're going to see an increase in the amount of terms that page is ranking for. And then you're going to see all those rankings will go up, and that will result in more traffic.
Wow, okay. So I guess if that's the case, then why isn't everyone just putting all of their web pages through POP and then implementing the recommendations from the tool on all their pages?
Mainly because it's a ton of work. While the recommendations only take 2 to 3 minutes to get in POP, implementing those recommendations often takes 2 to 3 hours. In the agency, we have a dedicated person for this. They run POP, they get the report, and then they do that implementation. And that's hours and hours of work. What we're doing with the AI is it solves that problem so that instead of like that 2 to 3 hours, you can do it in a handful of minutes and get optimized content.
Okay, so if I could summarize that, what you're saying is POP is really good at making optimization recommendations, but it's just taking a while to actually implement all of those recommendations onto your page in order to get the improvements and the growth that you're likely to see from that work. And the point of building the POP AI is actually to automate that part and make it a lot faster and easier for the users of the optimization content brief.
That's exactly right. I mean, the time saved is the huge factor here. Something that was 2 to 3 hours worth of work, a handful of minutes. One thing I would mention, though, is that the goal of this is not instant publishing. There is no AI tool that you should click one button and get content and put that onto your site. The goal is a strong first draft. You will need to do some human editing and polishing, but it's minimal at this point. So the optimization part is done. Now you're just doing a little bit of polishing to get it on, so then it's ready to go live on your site.
Okay, so then let's quickly just talk about how it actually works. A lot of people complain about the complexity of different AI SEO tools to work with. A lot of people also complain about the cost of optimized content from AI. We can go a bit into the pricing later, but first, can you explain a little bit about the workflow for getting the AI tool to optimize content and the use case for some of those those uses?
So there are kind of two areas when you're doing on-page optimization. There's the input-output part in POP where you're giving POP, your target keyword, the location, the language that you're optimizing in, and then there's the work part. And that's after you receive the recommendations and they've been processed. Now you're into the kind of that implementation phase. If you're doing a new page, you could have the content brief, or that would kind of turn into an outline for you. Or maybe you're optimizing existing content that you're otherwise happy with. Within the flow, you could be working from a Google Doc. You could be working from an editor inside a POP. You could be working directly inside your website in your CMS, like with an Elementor, WordPress, or Shopify, that sort of thing.
Okay.
The AI part is the work aspect of it. You would start just like any other time you'd use POP, where you create your project and then you create your page. Once you've got the report, though, and you're in the content brief, you can click over into the AI writer. And what's great is once you're in there, you can then you'll give it some prompts, like for the tone, who's writing this content, etc. And I can tell you one of the hardest things about creating an AI tool is kind of balancing the ease of use with also customization and then the quality of the content that you're going to get. And I think we did a pretty good job here of kind of striking the right balance where it is intuitive and easy to use, but it also allows enough customization so that the output you get is going to be much higher quality. And do keep in mind, though, that it's not polished a final draft. This is going to be a very strong first draft.
Got it. Okay. So tell me, what are some of the unique things inside of the POP AI that you think people are really going to like?
Well, I really like the UI. It is unique in that you can do an entire page, but then you can also optimize specific areas on it. You don't have to regenerate an entire page. You can actually just get one section that's like your trouble spot, right? And you can actually just work on that. You can optimize existing content, or you can create content from scratch. One really cool feature that I like is that you can use your existing content if you have that, or you could actually use some competitors' content that you're like, this is actually really good. You can take that and use that for inspiration and get a really good copy out of it. We also allow you to use your GPT-4 key if you have one. You can put that in. And then, just the speed in which your score in POP will improve. Like if you're, say, at a 20 or something like that, and within minutes get to a 75 or 80. And that's where we often see that impact in rank. And you've done it in minutes instead of hours.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I really also love that people can bring their own GPT-4 key into the tool. That's obviously going to save a lot of money. I don't know of many other tools that allow you to do that. The pricing model is generally, I know, a point of attraction as well, and we're going to talk about that. Why don't we now just dive in and take a look through the tool, and you can give us a bit of a walkthrough. How does that sound?
Sounds good. We're going to do two use cases here. One, a brand new page of optimized content, and then improving an existing page. I'm going to switch over to a pre-recorded walkthrough here because it's a little tricky to do these things on a live recording, but we'll switch over to that now.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, so before we jump into the AI writer part of this, we're going to go ahead and set up a project and a page in Page Optimizer Pro. The concept we're going to be working here with is this free on-page SEO checker. This is a page that we have on the site. I honestly don't know who wrote it. It's been up for a while. I'm sure that it needs some help. I don't think it was actually ever optimized. It was just a page that was put up to cover this concept. And so that'll be great for our purposes. When we run through this example, I'm going to do it two ways. One is where the page already exists and you want to update the content. And then I'll run through in a way where we're starting from scratch, where we just have that concept, that free on-page SEO checker, and we need to build the content fresh. So we'll kind of look at it both ways. But first, let's set up this project and set up this page. So you'll want to put in your domain and then confirm it. And then here you can see this is the name of the project. This is anything you want to put in. There's a 1 here because I had a previous project. You can put in the same domain multiple times if that makes sense for your organization. If you want to say, okay, we're doing this for this campaign, and then you can call it that, and something else for a second campaign, or you can number it just like this. For our purposes, that number 1 is fine. All right, so we've created the project, and now we need to add a page. And so you can think of like the project as the main folder for a domain or for a campaign, and then the pages that you're going to optimize will sit inside of that folder within that project. Click to add a new page. Pop Pro, Pop Custom. On the custom side, you can customize all the input and all the output however you need it, if you know you need something specific for your situation. But almost everyone's going to stay on the Pop Pro side. This is fast, effective SEO. It's kind of like having an SEO kind of looking over your shoulder saying, this is how I would do it. It's taking the recommendations that you'd kind of see on the custom side and then filtering them in a way that like this is going to be the most effective thing that you can do. I highly recommend that everyone start at the Pop Pro side, and that's what we're going to use for this example. All right, so for the keyword, I'm going to fire in that main keyword. There's an area where you can add secondary keywords. This would be if you have a very close variation that would be really good for Pop to count for you. The obvious example is like Dallas lawyer, lawyer Dallas, or Dallas lawyer, Dallas attorney. Those are the same term essentially. These are optional. Remember, you don't want this to be a main keyword. This would just be something that would be very, very close to the keyword that you're using, and it'd be really good for your information if Pop helped count those terms for you. But otherwise, you don't really need to put anything in there. The default language is English, but you can put in up to 61 languages as you are optimizing in. Location, United States, but you can put in your specific location. You can put in cities throughout the world. Next, put in the page. If you haven't built the page yet, you would check that box, and you don't need to put anything in there. If you do have the page, and for example, I've got that page built, I'm going to go ahead and put that in and grab this part and put that in there. If you want to analyze with Google's NLP API or with the EAT signals, go ahead and check those boxes, and they do cost credits. All plans have access to those. It just kind of depends on the number of credits you have available. There are some advanced options you can put in, like if you were HTTPS and now you're HTTP for some reason, or vice versa, or situations where maybe you've been using a offline editor, you can copy and paste in source code there if you want Pop to check that for you. Give the page a name. Usually just the keyword is a good idea. And then click next, and we're good to go. And now she's going to run. All right, that's all done. You can see here the optimization score of 24.5, so there's some work to be done. That's great. We can open the report and check it out, or we can go right into the AI Writer. If you open the report, this is what it looks like. So the score, the current word count, the target word count, how many sections this page should have. And this is broken up into the most important areas that you need to worry about for your on-page optimization. Your search engine title, that's your page title that search engines see. Your page title, that's usually that's your H1 tag, that's the title that humans see. Subheadings, these are your H2s and H3s. And the main content, that is your paragraph tags, or that could be lists or tables on the site. And then all the terms, where you're at with them, what you need to add, what you're okay with, Google's NLP, Pop's NLP, and a lot more. And that's what the report looks like. And then we can also then click over to the AI Writer and get started. Click to start. All right, so here we are in the Pop AI Writer at the Start button. We have already run the free on-page SEO checker page, so we have our Pop recommendations. So all we have to do is click Start. So what I'm going to do for this video is we're going to run this as though we're starting from scratch. Let's say we hate our content. This isn't what we want at all. Or if you're just if you haven't built the page yet and you ran this as I haven't built this page yet, that's totally fine. We're just going to kind of run it from scratch and do it as though we don't have content. At the beginning, you choose your word count, and that's going to change the amount of credits required. The current word count is 1660. We always recommend going with the target if it's above like that. You can see, so it's 4 credits per 1,000 words, and because we're at 1,700, that would make it 8 credits. You could put in a custom word count. Notice that when it goes to 200, that drops down to 4 credits because that's under 1,000. But for this, we're going to go for the target word count. And a huge feature is that if you have your own GPT-4 API key, you can enable that, and then it's only going to cost you 1 credit per article, regardless of word count, because you'll be running that in your own GPT-4 account. And that's a huge feature. And so if you have your own key, or if especially if you want to keep the cost of credits down, this is totally the way to do it, because then you're going to come in at probably under $2 per article. All right, so once you've decided that, your word count, go ahead and click Next. All right, and we jump right into the rich content area, and you kind of see where you are in the process as you're going through. We're here now in rich content, and these are, do you want to bold terms, do you want to italicize images, lists, forms, frequently asked questions, and table of contents. One thing to note is that with images, just a placeholder is going to be put in there. The AI is not going to generate an image. It's going to say, like, if you want images, this would be a good spot to put one. Same with forms. The AI will not generate any forms. It'll put a placeholder for you. This would be a spot for a form. But let's say we want to add in 2 bold terms, and let's say we want to do 1 italicized, and let's do an FAQ and a table of contents. Now notice that these things don't cost any pop credits. Those are free to add in. The only thing that's going to cost extra credits would be doing an FAQ or a list, and you can see how many credits that's going to cost. In this case, that's 1 pop credit. Once you're good there with your rich content, go ahead and click next. Now we're going to choose our competitors, and in this case, these are the ones that the AI is going to use for inspiration. It's going to look at their content and it's going to give you something in line with what they have done. So it's going to default giving you the top 3, 1, 2, 3. But notice here that this word count is extremely low. I'm going to deselect that one, and I'm probably going to go with this guy here, just to give a lot more content on the page to see what's going on. Another option would be if you decide, like, you know what, this is actually a listicle type thing. Maybe I don't like that one as much. We can go with this guy here, which is probably more in line with what we're doing. So probably between one of those two, if you want. I'm gonna go with this guy, just for the sake of this example. But check out the site. You can go take a look at them, click to open, and make sure that the content is there, because we're looking for something that is pretty well written, because that's what the AI is going to use for inspiration to write your content. Down at the bottom, we've got tone, author, and brand. So here you want to put in, how should this sound? Should this be professional? Should it be casual? Should it be informal? Are you writing a negative article? Should it be funny? That sort of thing. Like, are you trying to encourage somebody to buy something? So in this case, I'm going to say I would like professional. Who wrote this? Is it a lawyer? Is it a doctor? Is it an SEO? It could be a teenager is writing this, or it could be a mother of 2. Those kind of things you can put in as to what is the perspective of this person. Right down to, say, an expert SEO is writing this. And then if you have a particular brand that you want the AI to include, you can put in that brand here. And in this case, we are talking about Page Optimizer Pro. All right, there's one other thing in this section to generate search engine titles and page titles separately. The reason this is here is because it queues on to the next page title section, but we don't recommend doing that. Test after test shows that having the same search engine title and the same page title, so the same title tag and the same H1, results in better performance, and so we would recommend keeping that toggled off. As we've said twice here, it is not recommended. And click Next. We're now in the page title area. All right. And so in this case, you want to decide if you want the AI to rewrite your titles. So there is an existing page, there are existing titles. I can have the AI rewrite them, or let's say your titles were good. Let's say they were completely well optimized. You can say, like, skip that. We're good with what we have. In this case, I'm going to say I would want my titles rewritten, and I would like the AI to use my titles, my current ones, and then also the competitor titles for inspiration as well. Let's say, for example, though, let's say you've got a really good title, but you want it slightly rewritten. It's that situation where this is close, but maybe it could be better. You can give the AI an example title for inspiration, and then the AI might tweak it just a little bit, especially in line with Pop's recommendations. But in this case, I'm just going to go with use my title and use my competitor titles for inspiration, and you want to click Generate. All right, so here we are with the titles that the AI has come up with. It's put free on-page SEO checker, website SEO checker tool for free SEO audit and check of site analysis websites. So that's just all right. There are a couple things you can do here. You can click in and edit, which is super easy, and go ahead and just edit what you edit, and then click and you're done, good to go. You can also ask it to regenerate. You can try again. So I'm not really interested in an SEO audit, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to put in, say, do not include the word audit, as this is not an audit tool. So you can give instructions to the AI on how to improve, to regenerate the title. I'm click to go, and it is regenerating. And there you go, as it's going. Now, while we're doing that, and that was actually pretty quick. So free on-page SEO checker, website SEO checker, and free SEO checker tool for site analysis of websites. That's good enough for now. I want you to notice on the regenerate, you actually get 4 free regenerate credits, and that can be for your titles, that can be for your sub headings areas, or individual paragraph or individual sections of the main content. But we give you 4 free retries, and each time you can tell the AI, how can we do this a little bit better so you can get better output. Once we're good here, we're going to click next. And now we're in the AI, the H2 and H3 subheading area. So these are the different sections on your page. Same as before with the titles. Let's say you love the H2s and H3s you currently have. That's fine. Go ahead and you can leave them as is. And that's totally fine. Or in this case, I would like new ones. And I would like to use my H2s, and also highly recommend to use the competitors' H2s for inspiration as well. We're going to click to generate. All right, great. So now we've got our H2 and H3 outline. And here's something that's pretty slick, is that it's a drag and drop outline. So let's say you like this particular H2, but it would be better if it was in the middle of the page. You can move it down. Or let's say this H3 actually should be under a different section. You can totally move them around. You can also click and edit them, which is awesome. So if it's pretty close, go ahead and edit what you need, and then slide it around as you need. If you don't like it, you can delete it and get rid of it entirely. You can click in and add a new subheading. So you've got one that, you know what, I think it should be this, and I want to add it in. Totally add it in, and you can put it in there, and then drag and drop it wherever you need it within your outline. What's also nice is if you're kind of doing this so that you can just get an outline, you can download the outline and have that there. And if that's the kind of thing where now you're at a point, this is great, let's just get this to our writer, then you're good to go. The other thing I want to point out over here is there's a running score as it goes. So you can see how the page gets more optimized as you go through this particular process. So right now we're at 41.47%. Now, as it mentioned on that opening screen, it should get you to at least 70. That's what it's trained to do. It's almost always higher than that every once in a while because the AI does get moody. It can be a little bit below, but it should get you about there. And it's a good first draft. You know, that's what we're shooting for here is nothing that comes out of AI is perfect, but the idea is that this can really accelerate how you have done or how you do your content. So let's say right now let's say we like these H2s and H3s. We're good to go. Let's click next. All right, this is a critical moment. We're kind of at the point of no return. Once you go beyond here, you cannot go back and fix anything, so make sure you're good to go with what you have on your H2s and H3s, what you have with your rich content, for example. If you wanted to add anything, now would be the time to do it. Otherwise, once you get past this point, you cannot go back and make changes. Are you sure you want to proceed? And we're good. Okay, so here we are in the main content area. You have 2 choices. Choice 1 would be I want to supply the AI with my main content to rewrite it. And so if you choose that one, you'll have the option to grab your current paragraphs and put them into the different areas, different H2 and H3 areas. In this case, as I said, we're just saying we want to just completely rewrite it. So in this case, we're just going to click to generate the main content. We already have our outline already here. So what's going to happen is the AI is going to go through and start writing these different sections for us. As it says, time-wise, this could take up to 20-ish minutes. It kind of depends on the overall length. In this case, with an article that's 1,700 words, that should only take a few minutes. All right, and we're back. I know we sped that up for video purposes, but that took about 5 minutes is about how long that took. One thing I forgot to mention on the I want to supply the AI. One thing that's really cool is that let's say you like this H2 and you found a competitor that does a really good job with this, you could grab that competitor's content and put it in here. And you can write in like, hey, this is a really great section. What the AI will do will rewrite that content based on this H2 and the content that you give it, and will rewrite it in a really successful way. So the more you can give the AI, the absolute better output you will give it, and that's a really strong thing to do. You could also type in some terms here, some words here, like, hey, write about this, or I kind of like that, and the AI will follow that and will rewrite anything that you put in here, and that is a real pro tip on how to get much better content. But anyway, so we've got the main area done. You can see we've got a table of contents at the beginning. We've got our H1 and then our H2, and then this is what's really hot, is we've got this area to go in and edit. Remember, nothing's going to be perfect. You can edit right here and then download, so you can kind of get it exactly how you want it while you're working in this area. I recommend kind of sliding that open, giving yourself a much bigger screen to work with, and then this is basically just like a regular WordPress type editor. You can go in and edit as you need and get exactly what you want. You can go into, and it's broken up into each of the sections. So here's the H3 section, here's that other H3 section, here's your H2, etc., etc., etc. And then we get down to, remember we asked for an FAQ. So we need to give it a little more information in order to generate our FAQ. So we click in that. So with the FAQ, we can add in our own questions. Let's say you already have 4 or 5 people also asked that you want to use as FAQs, or you know the questions to put in. Just click that and then add in your own questions. The AI will answer them. Or you want the AI to generate the questions. And if you do that, what the AI is going to do is going to give you 5 questions. So let's do that in this situation just to kind of see what we get. All right, and those are done. So what is a website SEO checker, and what is its importance? There you go. So it generated 5 FAQs, and that is really pretty awesome. All right, so the last step here is that we've got all that done. Now we've got the rich content, we've got all of this in here, and let's say it's good to go. Let's check our score and see how we did. Boom, boom. 100%. That's amazing. You'll notice it did go over the word count, and then that's due to the FAQ. This added it and above, but that's fine. That's totally fine. But that is quite excellent. From here, we can download the article, and we can do it a couple different ways. You can do it plain text. You can get HTML text, so it's got the tags, or you can do it as HTML, and that's just excellent. But there you go. So that's running it from the standpoint of I just want the AI to do all this for me, and not too shabby there, getting to 100%.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Kyle. We'll come back to the live interview now. It's pretty amazing to see how quickly you can actually create that optimized content and get that score from like a low score to a relatively high score. I can really see how this is going to enable people to scale up their on-page optimization to give them an edge there. And let's face it, SEO is not getting any easier by the year. There's more and more competitors. We're fighting over fewer and fewer clicks. So any kind of edge that you can easily get over your competition is going to make a big difference in the long run, right?
Oh, absolutely. SEO competition is rising. More and more businesses realize every day that they need to optimize their pages, and when they do that, that just creates more competition. And having the ability to optimize content at scale now is critical. You need that advantage, and not everybody has the resources to scientifically optimize all the pages on their website. So being able to do this as quickly and as efficiently as possible, I think, is a real game changer. The other thing to keep in mind is that with that new competition, algorithms are changing, competitors change things, and you need the ability to monitor and track that. And we actually have that in POP as well. It's called Watchdog. Essentially, it'll track your competitors and your SERPs, and if there are any changes there that you need to be aware of, it's going to send you an alert with the tasks that you need in order to maintain those positions that you're able to gain.
Right, okay, and that's called Watchdog.
Yep.
Right, okay. And I imagine that's pretty easy to set up, and it sounds like that can make sure that you can maintain those improvements that you've gained by taking advantage of the optimization. So you're not just going up and then starting to to lose those improvements over time. You can actually maintain that using Watchdog. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, you've done all that work. You've got that rankings. You want to make sure that you're protected. You know that you can take advantage of the work that you've done. And then if a competitor comes in or there's a change in Google, there's an update that you're protected, that you're on top of it.
Right. Okay. It's like an insurance policy.
That's right.
Okay, Kyle, let's get down to business. How did you price the Pop AI?
So you do need an existing Pop subscription, but those plans start at $27 a month, and all plans have access to the AI tool. It's just kind of the volume of access would be the difference between the plan. The other thing is the credits that you have for AI you can actually use for other features within Pop, such as access to Google's NLP API or access to Pop's EAT tool as well. So whatever you need to do for your optimization, all plans have access to that. If you've purchased credits too, those don't expire. So you would be able to use them at any time that you need, whenever you need to do your optimization.
Okay, cool. So you do need to have an active subscription in Pop in order to use the Pop AI. They start at $27 a month, so not a high commitment there. Then you're going to be given some Pop credits that will allow you to run those features inside of Pop, like the AI Writer, like Watchdog, like the EEAT reports, etc. And if you need more Pop credits, then you can buy those as needed. Does that sound right?
That's right. And it comes out to about $1 per credit when they're purchased.
Tell me, how much does it actually cost to create a piece of AI optimized content then?
If you did, say, 2,500 words, that's going to take 12 Pop credits, so that's going to be about $12. It comes out to about $5 per 1,000 words. But if you have, as we mentioned before, if you have your own GPT-4 key, then it's just 1 credit, so $1 per piece of content, and the length doesn't matter at all. It could be as long as you like because you're running that through your own GPT-4 account, so it'd just be 1 credit.
Okay, I'm sure that users are going to love that feature. Tell me, what has some of the feedback been so far from Pop users on the AI?
The biggest one is how quickly it is that you can get a higher score in Pop. That just with a little time investment, not those 2 to 3 hours, just a handful of minutes, you can get a really good optimization score. And the workflow in between the alignment with the content brief, with the recommendations that are there, and then the recommendations, the terms that are going into the content. People have been really, really happy with that. And also just limited human editing afterwards. You do need to polish it a little bit, but it's the optimization part is done. And now it's kind of coming in for brand and tone and voice and those kind of things for you. But really limited editing from there to get it live and on your website.
Right. Especially if you're optimizing existing content rather than asking the AI to generate the content from nothing, right?
That's right.
Cool. Okay. Kyle, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share before we wrap this up? Or do you have perhaps a link that you can share for where people can try this out for themselves?
Sure. Just at pageoptimizer.pro. If they're a current subscriber, they have access to this now, and all plans have access to it, so they can click in from going into their projects and then into the content brief dashboard area. From there, you can click into the AI tool. If somebody's not a current subscriber, we have a 7-day free trial, and that includes Pop credits, so that you can get in there and use these features and try it out and see if it's right for you.
Thanks, Kyle, and also thanks for watching. I wish you the very best with getting started with the new Pop AI. And if you do have any questions regarding that, you can go to the website pageoptimizer.pro and click on the help center there. There's a lot of articles. You can contact support, or you can just leave your questions and comments on the video below. We'll answer them, and we'd also love to get your feedback.